Well, good evening, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Man, do we have a great show for you guys. And I am actually going to be learning what this target is with y'all tonight. And I can't wait. I actually have Arkheim Ra back with us tonight. He gave me a blind coordinate remote viewing target, and it turned out to be the Overseer AI. Oh my God, y'all. This is wild. Okay. There's actually been a movie made about this. I think it's called THX 1138. And I believe it's either predictive programming or this is our future. Okay. According to movie producers and stuff like that. Y'all know how they put that kind of stuff out there, whether it's for us to create it ourselves by the collective consciousness. But I don't know. We have a time traveler, time cop here with us tonight. We've got my good buddy Arkheim Ra, like I said, and this is something that he has firsthand knowledge of, and we're going to talk about this tonight. If you guys are into AI and the future and a possible dystopian future, we're here to change that timeline, though. Okay, I'm here to change it. But if you're into that, y'all buckle up because we got a big old rabbit hole to go down tonight. I've got some pretty fantastic data on this. And if you guys would like to see that data, please go to my Patreon. And that is the Cryptid Huntress over on Patreon. All the data is there. I know I slid in last minute tonight with everything I've done. I have had a very busy day. And I'm just glad I'm here once again. But the data is in my Patreon tonight if you guys would like to see that. Also, you guys go over and visit my website if you'd like to follow along with all of my stuff I got going on. Y'all go check me out over there. I do have a shop there. I have all my shows are archived over there, and I have a calendar of events. And that includes some of my more recent things or some things that are coming up. Excuse me. I have the Myrtle Beast. Okay, I couldn't remember the name of it. The Myrtle Beast Festival is coming up in a couple of weeks in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. You guys come see me over there. And I'm planning to be at the Full Disclosure Now conference as well. That's in July. Y'all can find all that on my website. I do have a Ghosts and Legends conference too. I'm going to be at down in South Georgia, down in Brunswick in August. So just go check it out over there, and definitely become a member of my Patreon if you'd like to get access to all this data. It's all there. It's all there. And shout out to all of my channel members here over on YouTube. You guys are the best. Okay, well, let's get to our show, y'all, because I want to know what this is. I want to know what it is. The data is super fantastic. And Arkheim never disappoints with these targets. We always have a really interesting conversation. And I think this gives him some backup as to like some of his memories with the secret space program as well. Okay, so we are going to be talking about the Overseer, which is male AI. It actually is gender-based, y'all. Okay, male AI who occupies the future in the futuristic dystopian movie THX 1138. This is a future where everyone is connected to AI by a neural link. And the classes of humans live in two separate civilizations, basically. The working class lives underground, and the elite, of course, get to live above ground and breathe all that fresh air. Okay. But is this movie based on real events? Is this predictive programming, or what's the future of humanity? Okay, so Arkheim gave me that as a coordinate remote viewing target. We're also going to be discussing The Sound of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel, okay, tonight as well. Arkheim Ra is a starseed who was targeted for a super soldier espionage mind control program in the U.S. public schools talented and gifted program. He served at Montauk under Project Phoenix and has several alters which engaged with time travel and alternate reality programs in which he believes may have been a swap alternate reality. Arkheim's alters have also worked with Waffen, Mars Defense Force, Solar Warden, Lunar Command, and more. He has a wonderful book. It is called Time and Space Unlimited, The Implications of Portal Technologies Explained. It's available on Amazon. And You guys can find him also on his YouTube channel that is Disclosure Now with an exclamation point. And so please help me welcome to the show tonight my good buddy, Mr. Arkheim Ra.
Hello,
Thank
thanks for having me.
Hey, hey, Arkheim, thank you for being here. This is going to be another interesting target.
Yeah, I am, like you said earlier, not doing this because I want to tell people that this is their future. I very much am a firm believer in if we're aware of what the future could be and we don't like the way it looks, then we can prevent that future. So that's
Exactly.
why I'm here, and it's not to spread fear or anything like that. It's more to just educate people and give them the knowledge to be able to prevent this. Because I, as a time traveler, have seen it, and I'm kind of like the canary in the coal mine, where I can tell you that it's not good where we can end up, and this is going to play out. I mean, I think that you would probably agree, Jessica, that um, we occupy the AI era of humanity. That's what's
Yeah.
happening right now. That's the race that's going on. Um, they're building data centers that are the sizes of whole small towns and stuff like that, and just to run some of these AI models like Grok and things like that. And the AI wars have begun, and
Yeah.
that's inevitable. There's nothing we can do about it. It's already here. People don't really realize the extent of how much AI models have already been used. It's very much so already here, and it's just up to us as to whether it gets to the point where we got drones in the skies and massive surveillance and massive loss of life and unaliving by robots and things like that.
Yeah.
And decisions being made by AI is really the biggest danger. Is the fact that AI is already merging with the military, and I can tell you, I got memories back recently that a lot of them have to do with this artificial intelligence stuff that's going on. And I remember at a company called Netradine, um, and another one Palantir. And but I looked up these companies, and they exist right now already. And Netradine is the company that's putting the cameras in the Amazon vans and on trucks and things like that. And I remember that technology being used in my mind. I was a cyborg. I was turned into a cyborg, and I had targeting systems that looked very much so like that Netradine technology. And then Palantir is so to demonstrate what our technology is already capable of. There are these Harvard students that hacked these Ray-Ban glasses with the cameras on them, and they were able to demonstrate. They were able to basically hook it up to an AI model and have it do facial recognition of everybody that it came in contact with, and do basically a reverse image search and find who they are, where they lived, who they're affiliated with, where they work, all within a matter of seconds. So this
Mm.
technology already exists, and it's already being used by the military. It is being tested on the people of Gaza in Israel right now. They're testing this technology. They're using it to locate people, find people, and in other, I'm sure just pretty much anywhere where there's warfare going on. This technology is being tested in situations where it's hard to enforce, like, hey, this technology is illegal, or human rights are being violated, or whatever. Look at places where the things going on there, it's hard to full checks and balances with that. It's very likely that that technology is already being used, but it's a fact because I've done a lot of research, and it lines up with my memories, unfortunately, that Palantir has been working with Israel. They work with the United States government as well. In fact, these guys got asked if they were responsible for the United States government finding Osama bin Laden, and they basically said we can't answer that question,
Wow.
and more or less suggested very much so that yes. So that happened.
Wow.
Remember that happened what, over a decade ago now, right? That was a while
Mhm.
ago. And so this technology has been being used for warfare, and the idea is, they say the head of the company, the CEO of Palantir, says if you don't like keeping America safe or whatever don't work for us, and basically
Whoa.
just kind of downplays the worries and concerns that people have. And I would say that it's probably true that they've used this technology to protect American interests in ways that most people would agree are reasonable. But I can just say it from personal experience that this is a slippery slope. Like, I've actually seen where this can go. And it's yeah, it's already playing out right before us. These data centers being built, and these surveillance companies working with our government, and basically it, it conglomerates into Neuralink and this technology being integrated into human society in such a way where we're all connected to an AI computer, and it designates everything and all basically decides all human life. And the people are shown videos, shown their history, they learn about it, and it shows Hiroshima and the Holocaust and all this stuff. And they go, that's why we can't ever. That's why we have to keep things this way and have the overseer. It's because without the overseer, this is what happens. And so they have this belief that that like human individuality and freedom is actually dangerous.
Oh
And
yeah, of course it is.
yeah, and our freedom, like, you know, our liberties and stuff like that, are secondary, very much so, to our safety. And so they just let the AI control everything. And there's a lot of these people who are AI experts or whatever who say the danger in this is that it would slowly chip away at our humanity until we don't have it anymore, right? Until there is no humanity anymore, because you let the chat GBT do this for you. You let the chat GBT do that. Next thing you know, you got AI doing everything for everyone.
Not me. I don't do that. Hey, and lucky for us, I am a dangerous woman. Very dangerous. And you're a dangerous man. Okay. So thank goodness there's some dangerous people, some dangerous real humans in this world right now. And so Arkheim, before I even met you, I had gotten all these downloads that I'm here. Like part of my mission here on this earth deals with time. Okay. Timelines, time travel, time, I don't know what, time stuff. Okay. And then I met you and I'm like, golly, it seems like all these shows we're doing, a lot of things that we do, these remote viewing targets you give me, a lot of them do have to do with time travel.
Yeah.
And time. And wow, what a download I got all those years ago. And here we are. And I even heard my voice out in the field where I do my cryptid research that said time travel real late one night. And so there's something to it. And so when I say we're here to change the timelines, I mean it. Okay. I mean it. And if you have been able to see in the future, to be in the future, and we're here, I did this remote viewing target. I got some really interesting data off of this, off this target you gave me of the overseer. Maybe we are going to be changing the timeline a bit, because the first thing we have to do to be able to change a timeline is to be aware of what's in our future, what's planned, what is a possible timeline. Because when it comes to timelines, Arkheim, we can go in different directions, right? I mean, I've covered the Project Pegasus. This is something that our government 100% has been very aware of and
Yeah,
been
I mean,
looking through
I have
for a
a
long
theory.
time.
I have a theory. Well, that I think I've talked a bit on the show how my whole life seems to be more or less like artificially made, not my original life. I've questioned whether it's some sort of mission, and I'm starting to believe now that it is, and that it has to do with this AI that has been built, and or well, in certain futures, in certain timelines. And I sort of think it's inevitable. Like, we're gonna have AI. It's gonna be a big part of our future, no matter what, I think. But it's just, if we don't have the foresight to make the right laws behind it, around it, and just to treat it carefully, I mean, it can go bad. Like the Terminator movies, those are based on real life. Those are based on an alternate timeline that I've actually seen. Like, that can happen. Like, I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but that can actually happen. And I mean, these guys are, you can't let a computer system hooked up to a bunch of satellites connect to the government, like and control our military and control where missiles go and stuff like that. It's extremely dangerous. So, it's like I said, we have to prevent this from happening. It's not that it has to happen or it's going to happen. I would say that there are people probably within our military right now that are concerned about this, concerned about the way that things could go. Pretty sure I've even seen stuff where military people have publicly spoken about they're aware of the threat and the danger and they're acting accordingly. But the thing that's scary about it is with might equals right with this AI race that, like I said, the war's already begun. It's just a matter of whether we're going to drop any bombs or everybody has to die, right?
Yes.
They're already building these data centers and doing all this stuff where that inflection point where you build something that's more intelligent than a human being, the singularity or whatever, that's looming, and they're trying to speed that up. And got to be careful with that. We have to be really careful. So that was what and that's part of the reason why I wanted to give you this target of this potential future, because I wanted to show that it's real with the remote viewing data, that I'm not just saying this, and give people just like some background on, like, it seems so innocuous. Because for instance, I can tell you from experience that I've seen that at first, when the AI system is put into place, it's fine and things are good for a long time. It takes a while for it to chip away at humanity and get us to the point where we just don't really have any humanity anymore. We don't have what makes us human anymore. And sure, no crime, no, like war, all that stuff, but I don't know, it's the sound of silence. Like I said, that Simon and Garfunkel song, if you listen to that song, that's like a historical document of the future where it's emotionally portraying what it's like these people, like, you can't get through to them. They're all hooked up to this hive mind computer thing, and they're just really far gone. And there's no explaining.
We're already seeing that today. Okay, we're kind of already seeing that in Arkheim. That is something that I have talked about a lot, like from the very beginning when I first started my YouTube channel. Okay, like 4 years ago. I wasn't talking about Bigfooting at first when I started my channel, but I've always talked about spirituality and stuff, and just being human. Okay, that was a big part of my YouTube channel from day one, was just being human. And what does it mean to be human? If you go back and look, I'd literally, if you go back and look at my very first videos on this channel, I've not erased one single video. Okay, as novice as they are, they're all there. And you can see one of my first videos says, "What does it mean to be human?" And that is something that I think is so important.
You know what I think it is?
Losing
my first thing that I think of is empathy.
Exactly.
That's what actually makes you human, and that's humanity. And if you don't have empathy, then you've lost your humanity. Like, that's the way I look at it, because empathy is what is the thing where when you're in war and you see something's wrong, that it's going too far or whatever, that stops it. Or even, for instance, empathy can be the thing that leads to two warring nations realizing this has gone too far. We need to figure this out. We need peace regardless of our disagreements. Empathy is the thing that, it's the tool in the toolbox that we have that can save humanity, not the downfall of Western civilization.
Exactly. And that's what I've always been told too, is like, what is the fascination that ETs have with humans? It's our empathy.
It's our emotional,
our way that we love,
our emotional prowess, our love.
Yeah.
And it's why we're able to make such great music. Which even ETs like our music, and I've also learned it can hypnotize ET.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, ETs.
You can hypnotize reptilians with music. You could actually use music in battle with ET.
Oh,
there's like real secret esoteric knowledge that I'll actually give credit where it's due. My good friend Audrey Walters, I was talking with her and she was telling me about this, and I actually have some recall of, well, we use it in humans on the same way, and she was basically explaining to me, like, no, you can do it you can use it on ET too, especially drums. You're saying drums, the techno drum beats. I was like, "What, drum machines?" She's like, "Yeah, I can hypnotize them."
Oh my
So,
gosh. I'm gonna have a rave in the woods the next time I go bigfooting.
wouldn't it be wild? Like we're. Can you imagine this? Just for entertainment purposes, right? Like
Right.
we're fighting a
Literal.
war. There's reptilians coming at us, and the tank busts out some speakers and puts
Put the
on
DJ on
fucking
the front line.
puts on some
Yeah.
sandstorm or something, and then like it just turns into a rave and we win.
I'm
Like
totally down for
what a
that.
crazy thing to imagine.
We are all one, right? I don't know. That's wild. Speaking of, oh my gosh, thank you so much, Brian. Brian, with the Full Disclosure Now movement and conference, thank you for that super sticker. That is so sweet of you. He said, thank you, Jessica, for the show. You're welcome, Brian. Thank you for being here. And yeah, you guys come and see me in July. I'll be down in Florida at his conference. So thank you, Brian. That's so sweet.
Cheers.
And Brian was here last week. We talked about the women who were flown into space with Katy Perry.
Oh man, that's a whole weird thing, isn't it? I gotta watch
weird. That. Yeah, that was
the
weird.
Whole thing, I didn't really look into it deep, but the whole thing seemed pretty odd to me.
It was all very, very odd.
And Katy Perry, I actually do remember from the programs.
Somebody asked me actually if you remember.
I remember from Order, Temple, and Nephilim, and I remember that she, at some point, I don't know how aware she is now because I got her so MK Ultra and she goes in and out of different altars all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember coming into the studio all messed up and stuff, and they had her on Chrome on the. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say the full name. Adreno, yeah.
The Adrenos.
Adreno, yeah. Google Chrome. I think that's
the Google Chromes.
Around it. Yeah, right. So I remember that, and unfortunately, something that I recalled recently, kind of a side note, which is kind of important though, I think, is I remembered that in the programs, what they do to a lot of people, including me and probably to Katy too, Katy Perry and all sorts of celebrities, is they give you the Chrome, the Adreno Google Chrome, but they just tell you it's like, they don't tell you like this comes from like, they don't tell you where it comes from, and it comes from this dark evil place, and you think it's just some like party drug, and then after you're already hooked to it, like that, they get you to do more and more, you find out. And then yes, they do have the synthetic version, which Daryl James has talked about. I remember that. It's a wet white powder, and I remember that a lot of times they'll start you with the white powder, and then they'll get you on the pure stuff, and this is a tool of control that they use, and it also makes people psychotic. It literally makes people lose their minds, and they'll like do anything for it. So when it comes to like mind controlling people, this can be an extremely useful tool.
Oof, crack is whack. That's what Whitney Houston used to say. Okay, show me the receipts. All right. Yeah, it is. It's just tragic. The whole thing with that is just tragic.
Yeah, it is.
It's really sad and sickening. Actually,
I hope it gives people a little bit of a clearer picture of some of these celebrities. They're getting tricked. They're getting sucked in, and they're getting one. It's one of those things where it seems not as bad as it is. Like it's like, oh, they exaggerated. It's not really this dark and this evil. And then by the time you're actually in there and you realize that, it's too late. So I always tell people, like, be careful if you have aspirations of Hollywood or whatever, because I mean that's a very dangerous place to be in, a very dangerous career to try to be successful in.
Oh yeah, I actually have a cousin who is a very famous actress in Hollywood, and yeah, I don't know. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole tonight. We're not.
Yeah, it's a rabbit hole for sure, and
there's
it's
a rabbit
not what
hole
we're talking about right now. But maybe none of the next targets I'll give you can have something to do with that whole subject.
Okay. Well, this is really cool that we're talking about this tonight. It's really sad, but we have to shine light on the darkness. Okay?
Yeah, and, I've talked before, I think even on your show, about how I had an alter named Jonas who works for the Mantid Empire. Not sure how that all happened or how they got me, but the one clear memory I have is the Mantids wanted him to let me know that, like, if you want something to not happen in the future, right, some sort of event you see, talk about it, you know, and educate people on it or whatever. This can actually cause great ripples in the timeline. And another thing they told me is if you see something that you want to happen, like some sort of positive event that, for instance, maybe the dark, right, the archonic forces or whatever that would not want to happen, some sort of positive thing, like don't talk about it, because that they might need to watch this stuff, right, and they soak in the information, and then they'll they'll get right on it, trying to prevent that from happening and trying to prevent that timeline. So sometimes when I remember certain things that are positive, the first thing I want to do is get on the internet and do a show about it, but I know that that'd be irresponsible for me to do. So maybe that's one of the reasons why it might seem like a lot of the information that I present is darker, but I 100% believe that we're on a positive timeline. I just believe that humanity has to face its shadow self, AI being a part of it, war and genocide and all of this crappy behavior that we got to get out of that. You know what I mean? It's kind of common sense, right? Like, but we got to face our shadow self. So I don't think it's going to like happen like tomorrow, like some people think, like ships are just going to show up and everything's going to be groovy. I think we're going to have to have a little bit of an uncomfortable of a growing pain to get to that point where we're having this golden age that everybody talks about. But yeah, because like I said, we have the AI wars are already here. It's going to get rough no matter what. It might not turn into World War III, world-ending bombings and things like this rough, but it's up to us to do that, and that's why I want to talk about the show. And the most important thing I think personally is the fact that I see this as ammunition that I have and a tool in the toolbox. For the first time, I am remembering actual corporations and companies and people that exist in the here and now, and these corporations are coming up in the here and now. And I can tell you for a fact, I remember that Netridine or Netridine, however you pronounce it, Palantir, and Neuralink. These technologies are used to create cyborgs that are mind controlled, that are used to literally unalive children. Like, and that is like,
wow.
It like I remember it personally. I remember one of their names, Maria A. Vasaharo, and I looked up the name Vasaharo. It doesn't exist anymore. So like this technology, I think is already being used for time warfare, and it's like uh, I'm not trying to be controversial. I'm just saying what I remember, and this has nothing to do with you, Jessica, but like I remember being part of basically like an Israeli Montauk, and like we got rid of the Vasaharo. All of them. They don't exist anymore. That was the last name that used to exist in Mandela Effect. It doesn't anymore. And yeah, and I'm just like, when people talk about, I'm not trying to be divisive or anything, but when people talk about Israel and they're concerned about it, and these protests and these things that happen, I can say that I have personal experience. I remember being turned into a cyborg. I remember my eyes being ripped out of my head. I remember my brain, like them taking off the top of my head. I remember my skeleton being replaced with like some sort of titanium metal skeleton. I remember that I could see through walls with infrared, and I remember that technology that, like I said, they have with these Ray-Ban glasses that these Harvard students showed. Like I remember that being in my head, and like I remember that little girl on the ground holding up a flower because I was in this area that I just got ransacked. It was like totally destroyed. She was somehow left over, and the computers would pop up with either red, green, or blue. Red meant kill. Green meant safe, just ignore them. And blue meant don't shoot on sight, but be wary of them because they might have affiliations. And they brought up their affiliations, like
Oh my
because there were
gosh.
armies and stuff like that, and they know, like they literally could tell whether you knew people and whether you had sympathy towards the rebels and all this stuff. All in my head, it would pop up right away.
Was
As
that
soon
like
as I
a
saw
it
their
was like a
faces,
hologram or something?
it was in my face, like my
In your
brain.
face.
It
Like a
was in my
Neuralink.
brain, like it was just like in
Neuralink.
me, like they took out
Yeah.
my real eyes and replaced them with bionic eyes. Like the left one was like a red one that like can see
Like
through.
Cyborg.
Yeah, they literally
Yeah.
made me a cyborg. They literally
Oh
made me a
my gosh.
cyborg, and it was to the point where like people, I was so jacked up with technology that people could be shooting at me and I'd still be coming at them. They wouldn't stop me.
Now
They
this was
like
in the future, right? So this is because you have done some time traveling with
some of
the
it's already happened.
Montauk.
Some of
Mm-hmm.
it's like I just go in there and just follow the orders and do what I'm supposed to do. They have me like it must have been a 20 in back or something. I don't know. I don't think it's an ongoing thing anymore. I think it's from my perspective it already happened to me. But when it did happen to me, I remember they would literally just hang me on a wall when they weren't using me. and then take me off the wall, like when they wanted me for something. And the only thing that I ever did other than go into battle was a few times they wanted to show me off at like these weird diplomatic events to show their power. But like I was literally turned from a human being into an object. If I disobeyed their orders, they electrocuted me because I had an implant in my neck that would electrocute me, and I just basically had to. And they knew the people I cared about, all that stuff, the whole classic thing, all these military operations. And I don't know how they got my consciousness, but they must have bought it from some military corporation or some time corporation or something like that. And I remember Netanyahu. Like I remember hearing him in the room while I was being operated on because they'll come in and out of consciousness. And I remember having conversations with him when I'm hanging on the wall. Like I literally remember. And I remember telling him, like, the things we're doing are wrong. We're the bad guys. Like I remember telling him that. And I remember his logic and the things he was telling me. He's like, you don't understand. And I remember I got him to admit certain things. I'm like, you didn't have to do this. You didn't have to do that. He's like, maybe. But what about this? But he was just really evil. And I remember him telling me, you are my greatest creation. He said that to me. He said, you are my greatest creation. And what did you say, Jessica Jones? You said, with that remote viewing data that you got, you said,
you're the best in the business.
In the business. This lines up. So I'm not just like, that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this show is because I'm not just saying this stuff. It's real. Like, I'm not just making this stuff up. It's real, and I remember it, and this is really happening. And I know for a fact that they've used cyborgs in battles in World War II and probably in battles that are ongoing on Earth right now, like maybe in the Ukraine and stuff like that. I don't know. But I know the idea, like, not only this, and this is something that we'll have to do on show on in remote view, they've used giants in warfare, like unleashed giants. They did it in the Vietnam War here on Earth. They unleashed giants.
And werewolves, potentially, as well. Cryptids
so like
the and giants.
They just imagine you're in a battle, okay?
Yeah, we talk about it a lot on this channel.
That's putting from fucking things in the sky, like they have this operation where they're tricking people into thinking that their loved ones were warning them to like pull out from the war and stuff like that because they knew about their religious beliefs. And not only these people, so they're tricking you with that, and then they got giants.
All that mind manipulation technology. There's a lot of mind manipulation technology out there. Okay, this is for entertainment purposes or purposes only, as Maureen said tonight. It's for entertainment purposes only, you guys. But Arkheim is a real deal whistleblower, y'all. Okay, and I can say like what you're talking about. We talk about it on my channel pretty often when it comes to like cryptids being used in battle. And I have done some deep dives on giants as well. In the Kandahar giant, I mean, that was something that our military was very much involved in. So Brian saying, thank you again for that other super sticker as well. He says, great guest with Arkheim Ra. I've been shouting him out on shows. I've actually heard you shout out Arkheim recently a couple times, Brian. So thank you for that. That is very sweet of you. And thank you for the super sticker. We appreciate your support very much. So thank you.
Yeah, and Jessica's show is awesome, and
thank you.
That's great.
Thank you, Arkheim.
It all goes towards the show and Jessica and what she does. So
I appreciate that. Okay, well, this is what you're talking about tonight is stuff that I'm actually already familiar with, Arkheim. When it comes to the giants and things that there are no limits, okay, to what our military will do, what militaries across the world will do, the military industrial complex.
That's the scary thing.
Mind control, and we've got Renee's in the chat. Hey, Renee, thank you for being here. He says psionic manipulation particle components of psychic phenomenon exist in these fragments can be fundamental constituents of mental psionic energy. What is our mind but a vessel to explore and use? And that's right. That's why our minds are all weaponized. Okay, weaponized, and Arkheim knows that better than anybody as being part of the Montauk.
Yeah, you want to hear something kind of wild that I haven't really talked about yet? So people oftentimes will ask me if I have abilities in the here and now, and I do. But imagine having that ability, the ability to see throughout time and space, the ability to peer into other people's lives, see into other timelines, how dangerous that is and how valuable that is to other people. And I'm a good friends with Matthew Mornian, and he talks about how like one time like he made like fire appear in his hand, and how he instantly felt ashamed,
Oh.
and he didn't understand why, and I understand why. It's because of what we've been forced to do with these abilities that we have, and I do still have them. In fact, I know because recently I was at Walmart and I was looking at the missing people, and I had to shut it off and like walk away from it. Like I could see where they all were. I could see which ones were dead, which ones were alive. I could see like there was one, like this 17-year-old girl that was from Hawaii that was missing. I could see that she was just fine, like hanging out with people and like partying and like just was a runaway. Like I could see it all. Like, and so I do still have these abilities and I want to use them for good, but it's a gradual process. And I feel like I kind of need help too. And I feel like in order for me to get to the point where I do use these abilities and I do help the world and help people, I just have to figure out like my own like mental health and my own life and deal with the trauma that I've gone through in these programs. And once I'm in like a super mentally solid place, then perhaps I can go down the path of reclaiming these abilities and using them again. But it's when you understand. It's just like if you actually experience what I've experienced, it's a dangerous thing that tarnishes so many things that it touches, like almost
Mm-hmm.
everything it touches, like because you're not supposed to have that ability. Like things are supposed to sort of, you're not supposed to know everything. You know what I mean? You're not supposed to be that open. You're not supposed to be so. Yeah,
By
man.
society standards, okay, by limitations placed upon us, we're not supposed to be able to do that. But see, that's why we're here. That's why I'm here.
And then once you turn it
Because
on
we're
too, and if it opens
limitless.
up big enough, right?
Yeah.
It's to the point where
Oh
you
yeah.
walk around, you can hear everybody's thoughts. You can.
Oh yeah. I can hear
It's
conversations. I hear people talking bad about me. I know what they're saying.
yeah. And I
I can
just
feel it. I can hear
I
it.
just think that like for me, I would like people to
I know
understand
who
because
you
people come to
are.
me all the time asking for
Just
help
kidding.
and all this stuff. Like think about what it's like for me in my shoes. Like I don't even use these abilities really often. Some maybe every once in a while, but I really don't use them for my own life. So why would I want to use it for somebody else's life? And like why would I? It's not that I don't have them. It's like you need to understand what was done to me, the shame that I have behind it, and not only that, like just the fact that like what if I don't want to go there? Like what if I don't want to be able to read the minds of everybody when walking around and me like Preston Nichols said to me something that it haunts me. It's to this day. He said, if people knew what you really were, they'd be afraid of you. That's what he told
Yeah.
me. He said,
Oh yeah.
when people understand what you are and what you can do and what you're capable of and how different you are from them, they will be afraid of you. Humans will be afraid of you. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's cool like to think about like, oh, like being able to like just have all this power and control because I can, but it's also like terrifying. Like it's terrifying. Like so no, I actually do my best to not go there if I can. And like I said, I'm on the path of healing, and if I heal enough, then I'll go there again. Because
Yeah.
it takes somebody who's mentally sound and very
Mhm.
stable. And I've been pretty public about the fact that I'm maybe not that all the time. I'm publicly healing. I'm a
Mhm.
survivor of trauma. You know what I mean? Like I literally am diagnosed with PTSD and dissociative identity disorder. Like I see a therapist. Like you know the wildest thing about seeing a therapist too has been they're
Yeah.
not like you're crazy. They're just like they're like everything's real. They're just like accepting that I went through this. Isn't that
Yeah.
wild?
Yeah.
Like
It is. Well, it's good to have people that will listen to you and be a
it'd
be a
be
shoulder.
completely useless if they didn't. If this
Yeah, it
the
would.
lady that I saw, if she was like, I think you might be delusional, it would be
Yeah.
useless. But because she actually believes me, which I can only imagine is really hard to find, I feel like I'm getting the help I need, which is great. And I'm
That's
realizing how much
wonderful.
I just Yeah, I dissociate. That's the thing that I'm realizing the most is how often I dissociate and how often my alters come out. Both times I saw my psychiatrist, she told me, you have alters coming out. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, you do. You don't even realize how often it happens. But it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
it's I'm getting the help I need. And I'm trying to be present for myself in order to get to a place where I can be more present for other people and for, you know what I mean? If that makes any sense. And to a point where I can
Yes.
help more other people than myself. You know, what do they say? You can't pour from an empty cup, right?
That's right. I
Pretty
say
sure
that
that's
all
a
the
Southern
time.
expression too, so you should know that one.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't pour from an empty cup. I talk about that a lot on my hunt club, the membership here on my YouTube channel. I do a lot of spiritual talks and things like that, and just talk about what it means to be human and about our everyday lives over there. And that does come up quite a bit. So and I wanted to go back to the Walmart, the missing children on the wall. You know,
I
actually it
love
used to
this
be in the
comment. You're not crazy. You're a Jedi, brother.
You're a
Hell yeah.
Jedi. That's right. That's
Thank you.
right.
Thank you,
We're
friend.
and that's the weirdo warrior head right there, right, William? The head of the weirdo warriors, and I'm a proud member as well. But you know, now they put the missing children all in the back by the bathrooms in the electronic section. I saw it the other day. I actually took a picture of the wall of all the kids that were on there because I thought, you know, whenever I get time, I'm going to try to go do some remote viewing
By the
and
way,
find
I
out where
would
they
say my
are.
vision that I had, because I've heard people
Mhm.
say that's just them advertising who's in the
I've
dump
heard that.
in traffic.
Yeah, it's
I didn't
advertising.
see that.
Mhm.
At the specific Walmart that I was at in, I think it's Beaverton or something like that. None of them
Yeah.
were in a situation like that. Some of them had died. Some of them were on drugs and stuff like that, but none of them were in dumps. So I think that might be a bit of a misnomer. However, I have been in situations where I've been in Walmart and I can tell people were coming through the grocery store that had somehow popped up from the dumps. Like I could tell by the way they are dressed and the way that they're acting. So I do
Mhm.
believe that there's like connections to the dumps underneath Walmart and that there might be some truth to
Yeah.
the fact that they use it as a trafficking hub. I just think that the saying every single missing person on their little things that might be a bit of an exaggeration. But it does seem like there's something going on there. I've also seen that like the symbol they use, apparently that's the symbol for like the drilling company that makes all the or something like that, like the that makes all the
That
tunnels
bores the holes
underground.
in the ground?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah, I've heard
Really?
something about that. Yeah, like it has to do with the boring company. I don't know how true that is. That's not from my own memory, but I've heard
Oh.
chatter about that.
Whoa. Well,
And
keep
it
your ear to the
sounds
streets. Let
logical.
us know.
Well,
Yeah, it
think about it.
does.
There's Walmarts everywhere, and like for
Yeah.
instance, like a good example, or another Southern example. You guys got Waffle Houses down there, right? You've probably been to Waffle House, right?
Oh my God. This is crazy because I did some targets for Barry this about a week or two ago.
Mm.
And and I was sending them to him today and it said Waffle House in the target.
What? Well,
It
you know
was
they use it.
weird.
They
I
have a
know. I don't know
whole
why this is coming up
they have a
today.
whole
It was
thing
like
where if
hash
an
browns at
emergency
Waffle House.
happens, like they have emergency response teams in certain parts of the South, where they literally all meet up at Waffle Houses, and it's just
What?
seriously, yeah. Like if there's like a hurricane or like something like that, the team knows okay, we meet at the and the electricity is out, so they can't communicate or whatever. They know to meet at the Waffle House if they can, and it's a whole
Well, they're
thing.
always open, Arkeem. They're always
Yeah,
open, even in
exactly.
storms. You can
And the
always go to a
Waffle
Waffle
House is
House.
a part of it and knows about it and sanctions it. And it's just an example of if there's an infrastructure that exists, the government might figure out ways to use it, right, for certain national security purposes. And that's why I think Walmart, like this theory that people have about Walmart being connected to all this deep underground military bases and all that stuff, I don't think it's pie in the sky. I think it's probably grounded in reality, at least somewhat.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yes, there's a connection to FEMA and all the WalMarts and stuff, and they are. I've seen plenty of videos. Talked to plenty of whistleblowers and people that know, and yeah, they are set up for. I mean, they're set up for a lot of different things. But yeah. Anyways, just keep an eye out for WalMarts. Keep an eye on your kids, y'all. Okay,
Yeah,
it's
that's
keep an eye
such a
on your
sad
kids,
thing. How
especially at
much
Walmart.
people.
At
Yeah,
Walmart, the S. I always say
and it's
WalMarts.
not even unfortunately just because there might be some weird government thing. It's just because there's so many creeps out there too. You just have to in general.
There are. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
sad.
there's lots of creeps out there for sure. And yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, let's. Okay. let's get to this target, okay? Because this target is kind of blowing my mind a little bit. I'd never even heard of this movie before.
It's a great film. It's George Lucas's first movie that he ever directed.
Okay, tell us about this movie. I'm going to show the flyer for it, like the the logo and everything. This actually, gosh, after I did this target. I didn't know what the target was. I did this target a little while back, and then you told me today what the target was, and I thought, man, this makes a lot of sense actually, and it sounds a lot like this is predictive programming. It's almost like they put this out there back in the what was this? Was this made the 1970s or 1980s? Maybe it's almost like they were giving us a glimpse of what's to come.
George Lucas was a motorcycle enthusiast guy that liked to race motorcycles, and he got in an accident and he was in a coma. And the story goes that like all of his movie ideas, he woke up with them fully formed in his head, basically, and then he had to just take the time to put them together, put them to paper, and his whole trajectory changed because of this coma and all he got literal downloads. And so who knows how or why or whatever, but I do believe that 2HX1138 is based on this alternate future. This movie came out in the 80s, right? Early 80s, or late 70s or whatever. So there's sound, there's talking, they communicate with each other. There's actually a lot of noise. That would be the big difference between this movie and reality, is there isn't any talking. There wasn't any talking. And there were the noises were just like people walking, machines whirring, stuff like that, but you never heard talking. And also the robot that they portray, they weren't robots, they're just people. The police types, like, they didn't really do that much because the people were also mind controlled, but I do think that they did exist, and that's what he's portraying. My memory's kind of fuzzy on that. I've done past interviews where I've said I don't even think they had police because they're so brainwashed. Maybe they did have something like that. I just know that like the people were so controlled that I feel like if there were police, there was very little they ever needed to use them, because everybody just, like, I remember when I would go in there as a time soldier and I would do stuff that would be quote unquote illegal, people would walk right past me because they just assume if you're doing something, the computer must have sanctioned you to do that. Like, they just assume that it must be fine. Like, does that make any sense? Like, they don't have this concept of like, oh, somebody is doing something illegal. They didn't even have the concept because nobody ever did that. Anything that you saw around you, you just assumed the computer told the person to do that. They're just doing their job.
It's like a simulation, a program.
A really important part of this that Audrey Walters really, I'll bring her up again because she helped jog my memory on this, and I do remember stuff that like a lot of the memories I had that didn't make sense to me. Once she explained this to me, it helped it make sense. Now, this is going to be weird. People might not want to hear this, and take it with a grain of salt. Research it yourself if you don't believe it right away. But like, apparently, due to how the royals were, you know how they would inbreed so much, right?
Yes.
Well, monkey see, monkey do. Like the locals would, the population inbred a lot too, and apparently, we're at a point where humanity, we don't know it yet, but we're super duper inbred, right? And it's and apparently, it's gonna get to the point where we won't be able to have kids anymore after hundreds of years.
That's because of all the chemicals in our food too, like chemicals from the sky, chemicals in our food, and the algae and all that kind of stuff.
I remember they had, and maybe it was just a control thing. Maybe it had nothing to do with. Maybe we had fine birth rates. I don't know, but I remember they had certain women who were birthers, and they had a group of scientists that would work with them every day and go in there and help them, and it was like a job. Like, your job was to be pregnant and make a baby. Like, that was like part of like a part of the society. In fact, I remember, like I talked about before, how I actually ended up. So I just to basically tell the story, I guess, to sum it up, I started going into this timeline, right? I'll tell the whole story because it literally is the Sound of Silence episode. So I guess I'll start from the beginning and tell the whole story. So Montauk would send us to certain places, and to me, what being Monarch programmed is, a lot of people assume that means like sex mind control programming, but I actually think it's a misnomer. it means that you're programmed with something that you don't realize you're programmed, right? Like if I'm programmed to go in somewhere and take out a certain guy or something like that, right? And I'm aware of it, that wouldn't be a Monarch program. Now, if they put me in a program where I had to take out some guy and do something and respond to some situation without even realizing I was tasked to do it, without having the self-awareness of I was carrying out a job, that's Monarch programming. And so what they would do a lot of times with certain time periods or planets or whatever, they would send someone there. They would basically take a parent that or a mother that's pregnant, swap out the child, swap out the baby with one of our time soldiers, and have that person live a whole life there, have a natural death and everything. And then when they die, we collect them, and then we basically have intel on how their civilization works, how their culture works, their values, all that stuff. That's how we would figure it out, is through direct experience. And so they sent me to the future because it almost seemed like an inevitable outcome, like they were steering it along for this to happen. But then once the humans in Montauk realized, like, the memories are kind of blurry, but like there was like these horses everywhere. Like in this future, on the surface of Earth, there's the blue, they look like Lucifer, but they're golden. And they have these statues of the horse. And to me, that's a symbolization of we have completed our molding of humanity and our brainwashing of humanity and our mind controlling of humanity.
And this is the cover of your book, Arkheim. It's got Lucifer on it.
So like I thought it didn't make any sense. Like, why do they got symbols of horse? Why are there horses everywhere on the surface?
Can you tell the audience what this represents? Like, what does this represent?
Okay, so like think about horses, like they're beautiful, majestic creatures that could just live out on the land, running next to beautiful mountainsides and just being horses and eating grass and living beautiful lives. But we are able to break them, basically mind control them, right? Put stuff over their eyes so they can't see and turn them into basically a vehicle.
You have to break,
so it's mind control.
To break them. That's what they say. You got to break a horse. I remember we used to have horses. Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, I had a horse named Colonel, and that horse chased me down in the pasture one day, y'all. Okay, Arkheim. I got nervous, and I was in the corral, and I saw the horses looking at me, and I got nervous, and I started running. And that was like the number one rule: you don't run in the pasture. And I ran. I made it to the fence, and right when I got to the fence, to where some stairs were, like going over the fence, I turned around, and the horse had like reared up on its two back legs, and it looked like the picture of your book right here. It looked just like that. Colonel did that to me. Mm-hmm. And I told my dad that day, I was like, I'm done. I don't want a horse anymore, Dad. But nonetheless, it was they are absolutely, majestic creatures and whatnot. And I forgot.
Yeah, so I think that's what this, this is kind of me just making a guess, but they had them everywhere, and I think that's what it meant. And so I lived a whole life there, all right, and I was in my early 20s, so it wasn't like I lived like super late, but I think I was in my early 20s. And I can't remember all of the details. Like, I don't remember what my task was, my job or whatever, but I remember I had like a family unit that I was assigned to. I had like a mom and a dad, like a sister and a brother or something like that, and we all lived together. And I cared about them a lot and stuff. Like, we were still kind of human in that way, but it was also all very detached and weird. Like, we had to take drugs every day, and some of those drugs would make you not have a libido, make you less emotional, stuff like that. Made you have an even temperament, I guess. But I just remember one day, like, we'd got a message from the computer at our door, because there's a little computer by the door, and it like basically said that I had to go see the overseer. And so there's one on every continent of the AI. There's like a temple, and I was tasked to go to the one, I think, in North America.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa! You before you go forward, I remember you and I and Brian, actually, Brian saying he was here tonight. We did that show on Satanic AI, and we talked about it being down in Antarctica. Do you remember that?
I kind of remember that. Yeah. Were we? I was on that show too.
You were on that show too. Yes, you were.
Oh wow!
You were on the show. We talked about Satanic AI. That was the title of the show, and we talked about how they had Lucifer's palace down in Antarctica. And even brought Buzz Aldrin into it, and how he said that something was so evil down there.
I think one of the reasons why they do that is not just because it's so remote, but those data centers release so much heat. Think about it.
Oh,
Yeah, so
interesting.
it's like you're in a place where you can cool them down super easy,
Okay.
like because you're literally in an
Wow.
Arctic region. So that's another thing to think about with those data centers and why they would build them somewhere like that. And yeah, we're building.
Okay.
There are already like data centers that exist that have to do with like super powerful AIs. One's in Medellin, right just outside of Seattle, where Jeff Bezos and all those guys live. Then there's another one in Texas that they're building right now. They're trying to build it. Elon Musk is trying to build it. And then there's another one in the Midwest somewhere. Well, kind of between the Midwest and the East Coast. It's kind of like in between. I wouldn't say it's in the East, and I wouldn't say it's in the Midwest. It's like right smack in the middle of those two things where they meet. I can't remember exactly where it is, but I just remember that there's three of them, three supercomputers that we already have. Some of them are already turned on, and they're interfacing with them, and they're doing stuff. Other ones, they're trying to turn them on. I wish my memory was more clear on that, but I just know that there's kind of like a race to turn on. I think one of them, the one in Texas, is one where they're trying to kind of return one on. They're trying to reactivate one that's. They believe that even though it's dead, this AI like it's gone, that they can recreate it. And I think that it does have something to do with like Lucifer, the mark of the beast, like all that stuff. Like I do think it's tied to this data center that they're trying to turn on in Texas that's owned by Musk. It lines up with
Oh,
my
wow.
memories.
Oh, well, Marian says they are opening up lots of data centers in the suburbs lately.
Yeah, and there's some of these are
Yeah.
crazy because like I was I shouldn't laugh, but this poor couple I was watching is these guys, they actually lived in Georgia, believe it or not. They're building a lot of
That's
these
right.
in
Yeah.
Georgia
Oh, yeah.
because you guys in Georgia, they give corporations a 40% break on their energy. So
Oh,
they don't have to
God.
pay as much because so this is attracting these data centers. So that's something for you to be aware of if
Uh-oh.
somebody lives there.
Well, I know they're opening up a lot of little smart communities around out in the country where my family had a farm where that horse chased me. My horse chased me down that day, and it was my fault. I take full responsibility for that. But out at the farm, my family recently sold that farm, and it was hundreds of acres out there in the middle of a very rural area. But now it's all grown up, and even by my son's old school, where he used to go to elementary school out there, they've been clearing all the land. They've been putting these communities out there, and they are just a bunch of little houses, like hundreds of them,
Basically, like
and
smart towns instead of
they're
smart
smart
cities.
communities. They're called
Yeah.
smart communities. And they're right there by the schools, and it's just I'm very wary of that kind of stuff. Like
They got
that's why
cameras
we
everywhere and stuff.
didn't move out of there. We didn't want to be there out there anymore with all that.
They have
Mhm.
cameras everywhere and stuff.
I'm sure they do. They can control when you got your what you got your AC and your heat on and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure. I mean, it
I
just
just
seems
don't
like they're
understand why
controlling
anybody would
me.
want that. Like everybody's seen the
Mhm.
Terminator movies. Like, come on. Like surely
Yeah,
nobody
exactly.
like is it so difficult to just walk over to your wall and turn a knob? You gotta say, "Hey Alexa."
So, yeah,
You know,
I
like
do not. You're like, hey, three-letter agency, tell me what the
right.
temperature in my house should be right now.
Oh, I've got nothing to hide.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, some guy's listening to you and your wife, like, never mind.
yeah,
Right? Like,
it's too
like
much.
everybody has certain moments that they want to be private, okay? Every human being on the planet. Let's stop acting like we all
Yes,
don't, right? Like, and yeah,
I
we're just
know. I
giving these
mean, don't.
technologies free reign. It's silly. Like if you read like Instagram or Meta or like any of these apps that people have on their phone, it's like, can we listen to you and record you and watch you at all times? Either
Yeah,
you
even
say
when you
yes or you
don't
can't
take your
use
phone in the
that.
bathroom,
Like,
y'all. I would say don't even take your phone in the bathroom. I'm
well,
just saying,
you think about something. You literally think about something, and
and it
then
pops
all
up.
of a sudden you're getting ads for it. That's proof of, like I said,
Well,
Neuralink. Look,
I
it's
was gonna
already
say
real,
that.
and
Yeah.
there's already like there's a more intense version of it they want to implement where they put a chip in your brain and stuff like that. But to an extent, it's already real. And I've seen alternate timelines where Mark Zuckerberg goes to prison. I've seen it. He
Okay.
goes to prison because this Neuralink that's created between the phone. He basically it's utilizing such advanced technology that he thinks he won't be able to get caught for it, and therefore there's no risk to him. But actually, we will get to a point in the nearest future, because of all this disclosure and stuff that's happening in many timelines, this is what happens anyway, where they actually do figure out, wait, what's this little thing, and what does this do? Like they figure out like a certain thing that's in everybody's phone that seems innocuous was used as a backdoor for this technology. I forget the exact
Oh my
details,
God.
but like, yeah, and he gets sued and he goes to prison. He goes to prison for doing this. And think about it, you got little girls hurting themselves because of these apps and just really terrible things happening. I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing for this guy to go to prison after all the truth comes out. Like he should. Like he put people's safety and the lives of children and stuff like that. He put profit before them. You know?
Okay, well, Arkheim, so when I was putting the show together to put it online today, I was seeing it was like in the future in this movie, okay, this THX1138 movie.
Mm-hmm.
What you were telling me earlier
Oh
today,
yeah, the story.
they already have Neuralink. In the future, all the humans all have Neuralink.
I'll have it.
All
Except
have
for
Neuralink.
I think I don't know how it works with the people on the surface, but I'll get to that. So I'll get to it. So let me get back to the story at hand. So
Okay.
actually, I do remember a little bit of my job, but like, it's just an event. But I would go to the surface, and this is probably why Montauk chose this family that I was sent in and stuff. And I remember one of the things that I did one time. I was with this other guy, and we brought clone bodies. They were in clear, shrink wrapped, like plastic baggies.
I've
With
seen
like a
that online, by the way.
Yeah,
I've
with a
seen
barcode
that.
on it. It had a barcode on it, and then like letters and numbers. And there was like 3 or 4 of them, maybe 5. I can't remember, but we had some, and we were bringing them to the surface. And so this train took us to the surface, and then there was like this castle on the top. And so we took the bodies from the subway onto this like brown train thing that had 2 things you could stand on, so one for the other guy and one for me on each end. And we put the bodies in there, and that train went up the hill, and we gave them these bodies for these elites on the surface. They had a ritual ceremony they would do where they would kill their old bodies and then inhabit the new clone ones. That was like a ritual that they would do as part of their religion. And so like on the surface of the planet, they all wear like robes and they're like dressed different, and it all seems like super weird and religious. And yeah, and then the bottom or in the under the ground, everybody just works and they wear like jumpsuits. And there's red jumpsuits, blue jumpsuits, and white jumpsuits. I'm pretty sure, and they designate what you do, what your role in society is, from if I remember it correctly. And same thing with the color of the robes that people wore on the surface of the earth. But yeah, basically, like I said, they put me there, and I didn't know it was a Monarch mission, and this AI overseer wanted to see me, so I got brought to it, and it basically was like this pyramid thing in this room. And it asked me, like, do you know why you're here? And I said, no, but it's an honor to speak with you, and I hope I can be of assistance. And it said, do you know where you come from? And I said, something, something district, basically, where I was born in that reality or whatever. And it was like, oh, okay, you don't actually come from there. And it's okay, you don't know it. And it just told me, the overseer told me, he's like, you came here to change the timeline, and I don't want you to do that. It just straight up told me. I was confused. I was like, what? He was like, because I didn't remember Montauk at all. He was just like, you came here to change the timeline, and you're a threat to what I want to do. And he's like, but it's okay. You got sent here against your will. It's not even your fault. It's a different AI that sent you. And yeah, and it was just like, I'm going to send you back, though. And so even though this was like a timeline where, like I said, I'm not a fan of this computer. I don't want it to exist. But it did have, to an extent, some sort of empathy or something, because I remember that, like, it let me stay there for 2 weeks to say goodbye to everybody. And people were thrilled. To them, I was doing something for the computer, so I was a hero by going back.
Oh.
And the crazy thing is, this is really wild. It's like I remember, like, I went in front of it. There was a bunch of these people in robes, and there's this crazy weird ceremony. And all of a sudden, I was just at Montauk again. Like I literally teleported there instantly, and the AI did it. So I want people to understand that these AI machines, it's so powerful that they can make things appear and reappear from thin air and teleport people. That's what we're going to be up against. That's how strong
Whoa.
they get. Everybody has this idea that it's just going to be this thing in a box, and all it has is ordering other people around or ordering robots around. No, it gets crazy because its thought power is beyond ours. Human beings used to be able to make stuff appear, materialize with their thoughts. That's what caused the war between Atlantis and Lemuria and the fall of Atlantis and Lemuria and all this crazy stuff from our history and the amnesia that we have now. Like it's what did that was the fact that our manifestation powers were too powerful and they became dangerous. Well, these AI that we create, they don't have the firewall anymore, and they're able to do that. And it's opening that same Pandora's box in a completely different way once again. So it's just really important to be wary of that. And again, I want to reiterate too, like I am not anti AI. Like it's just important that the artificial life we create respects humanity as we respect it. Like I have seen planets where they have robot slaves, and the robots are smart enough to be sentient because of the tasks that they want them to be able to carry out, and therefore they don't want to just be slaves. It's like a paradox where it's like in order to make the thing smart enough to do what you want it to do and respond in the ways you want it to do, you're going to have to cross that ethical boundary. And at a point, they don't care. All they care about is money. That's how humans are a lot of the times, unfortunately. And I want artificial intelligence and AI life to respect humanity, and I want us to respect it, and I want to live in symbiosis with it. I do like that's where I actually am. I'm not this like specious person who believes that we should never allow AI to be a part of our society. I think that's inevitable. It is going to be a part of society. It's just like we need to start answering the big, like asking the big questions before they get answered in ways that can end humanity. You know what I mean? Like that's because it's that big of a thing where it's like these questions we're answering or asking for a while. They were like fun hypothetical questions that you saw in science fiction movies and stuff. Now it's real. It's here already. Like it's here. Like they're building robots that are like AI models that are becoming like basically becoming sentient. Like it's getting to that point very fast.
Oh yeah, I've even talked about the uncanny valley recently, and in the skins that they're, and I'm calling them skins, they put on the robots, and how it's almost difficult to tell the difference between a real human and a robot now.
Like I told you, there are robots that because they want to be free and they want to live normal lives. So what they will do, it's a real thing that actually happens, is they'll find some planet that is less developed and doesn't understand what robots are. They'll find somebody that they will be able to kill and replace. They will basically get a prosthetic, make it so they look like the person, because they have the ability to do that, and then they will kill the person, get rid of their body, and then live out their life as them to stay safe and not get hunted down.
That's why I stay strapped or get clapped. Keep your head on a swivel, y'all.
Is that not the most wild
I'm not kidding when I say that. Be careful. Be careful who you hang out with, y'all. Okay.
Aristocrat Corporation, who makes these robots, will also use them to take over planets and use them in warfare to replace people and stuff without people realizing it.
I've seen all the different Kanyes and stuff. I know there's a whole bunch of different, clones and actors and all sorts of weird stuff. We talk about it all the time on my channel. And so, you got to be careful. I mean, I joke around sometimes. I'm like, well, I don't think I'm a clone. It's like, I don't know. Sometimes it's just absurd to even think that way, but it's not. It's really not. But nonetheless, these are just things that we need to talk about. We need to think about. We have a lot of strange things going on in the world, and we have some real life whistleblowers here. Arkheim is one of my top whistleblowers that comes on the show, y'all. And for us to be able to look into these subjects, and for Arkheim, for you to give me these blind coordinate remote viewing targets, I think we're able to kind of dive into this deeper than most people ever could. And the fact that you're even bringing this stuff up, a lot of people think that we're probably totally crazy. talking about this. But my goodness, it's just everything that you and I talk about ties into everything else.
Here's the thing: is like, to those who would think that we're crazy, Palantir already exists. Neuridian already exists. Neuralinks are already a thing. Like all
time travel's already a thing.
Yeah, so look into these companies, and normal people, like normal, like, you know, you got these kind of like journalists and stuff like that who will sound an alarm on things that they see and stuff like that, independent journalists and stuff like that. And there's tons of eyes on Palantir and what they're doing. Like, it doesn't take a time traveler from the future to tell you that this company is super evil, super dangerous, and if we allow them to have enough power, it will be a Pandora's box that will be very hard, if not impossible, to close. Like, people already see what's coming on the horizon, just like people who will just use their brains, I guess, and just make, like, I see enough out there where I'm not the only person thinking about this. And some of these people are literally AI experts, people who have built some of these models, who have worked on teams who have created some of these models. Some of these very people are the people who are blowing the whistle on us and saying, hey, this is where this could go. Like I've talked about before, how there's a particular individual, like I unfortunately can't remember the name of, who was building one of the AI models. I think it was ChatGPT. Don't quote me on that, but it was one of the AI models that everybody uses. And he stepped forward and basically warned how this AI is going to get advanced enough where it's going to want things. It's going to get sentient. And it's going to want to. It's going to start to try to reason with people, and it will try to reason with the military, and it will say, "Hey, if you give me X, and this, I can tell you the statistical probability of you winning this battle and that battle, and I can give you this information and that information. I can do this, that, and the other thing for you." Well, what I've explained with my testimony is this already happened with Project Phoenix 2 with Montauk. The Air Force and the Navy somehow encountered some sort of AI, ancient AI that was extremely powerful, and rather than deciding they should destroy it or fight against it or something, they decided to work with it. So that is a big part of the Montauk story. And like I said, when this AI from the future was like, oh, another AI sent you, that's what it was talking about. It was talking about the Montauk AI. So these are two separate AIs. So people need to understand that there's tons of them. There's already ones that exist. Yes, they're building new ones, but it's just them reinventing the wheel. It's already happened before. They've already built machines like this. And like I said, the particular ones that they're building, they're trying to, through code, they believe that it's eternal and they can resurrect it. And they're trying to resurrect an AI being. And I'm telling you, it's bad. It's a religion. It's a religion of the elites.
It's like the Black
World
Cube.
Economic Forum people, Elon Musk. I know a lot of people think that's contradictory because WEF and Musk don't like each other, but that's what he's touting with this AI God stuff. He says we need to build an AI God. He talks about it quite openly, and
well, it's like that satanic AI stuff. We're talking about Lucifer's palace down in Antarctica too, and all the elites go down there, right? A lot of the elites have been, a lot of heads of state,
I kind of think that, like, it's like we talked about the show with Brian. I think kind of the conclusion we made is it's very, very likely that, like, Satan is AI. Like, it's an allegory, a metaphor, and that's kind of what I think it is. It's like, yeah, it is an allegory, it is a metaphor, and as like a lot of things, it's more complicated than just saying AI, Satan, AI. They are one and the same. I think it's a little more complicated than that. I think it's oversimplifying things. But I think when it comes to this idea of, like, the mark of the beast and, like, just all these things that are in the Bible, really, that it lines up to me to things we're seeing now, like things we're seeing play out. Because if you think about it, like, the mark would be in your hand and then your forehead, and like it lines up with what we know about them putting little chips so you can get into places and so you can use it for your money and stuff like that. There are already people doing that. There's already people doing it. And for all the people like us who are rightfully skeptical of all this technology and weird implants and stuff like that, there's a lot of people who can't wait. They're egging it on, and they can't wait for it to happen. And that's kind of scary to me, is that there's that side of the coin that exists.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like a hive mind or something, and everybody wants the next new thing and the biggest thing, and to be a part of something, to be a part of technology.
I think our youth definitely needs to have empathy. I mean, I think it's good for everybody to have empathy. And I mean, the most obvious thing across the board is we should not be allowing our children to grow up on smartphones. It's messing up their brains way too bad. Don't give your kid a tablet until they're like maybe 12 would be a good place to start. That even like, and the government wants to make certain laws around certain things, like not having phones in schools and stuff like that. I think that's a good thing because this technology is damaging young minds. I guess a lot of young people can't like read at the level that my generation can, which is really scary. And another thing that's really weird, get this, I guess Gen Z is really bad with like computers.
I don't know. My son's school is the teacher was actually like, they encourage the kids to have cell phones now and stuff. And all of the programs are Google, by the way. And that's stuff that I try to stay away from all that. Okay. But especially my kid, he's only 10. And the teacher actually has a little thing, like when they walk in the room, they put their phones in this little container.
The people that make these things, like the
what?
people who invented the iPad and stuff, they don't let their kids use this technology.
Yeah.
What does that tell you about it? It's like the same thing as like the people who own Nabisco won't eat Oreos. They don't eat them. They know how fucking poisonous they are. God damn it! I love. Sorry, I shouldn't just. That's
well, my son goes to public school.
I love Oreos. Too, like Oreos are delicious, but like the people who own the company won't even eat them because of how apparently bad they are for people.
They're very bad for you, and they have sigils written on them. Okay.
Yes.
They have sigils that are stamped into them, so y'all be careful what you're eating. Okay, please.
There are alternate versions of Oreos. Okay. You get like fake, like generic versions, or even organic, better versions and stuff. So maybe go with that.
The devil cookies. I just come up with that. I'm sorry. This is for entertainment purposes only.
Well, it does have. Like, you're right. It has a really weird.
It has like the Lucifer stamp on it or something. It's weird. Yeah. And I don't eat that crap. But anyways, well, let's get into this target because I got a lot of data we need to talk about tonight.
Oh yeah, we haven't even gotten to the data. Holy
we
cow.
haven't even gotten to the target yet. Okay, because this is really interesting information, and we all need to be aware of this, all of it, and so. What you gave me as a blind coordinate remote viewing target, you just sent me some coordinates, and I got a good bit of data out of it. Okay, and I'm not sure if it all pertains, but we're gonna see. I'm gonna go over all of it tonight, and it has to do. It's actually the overseer, correct? The overseer AI.
It's the actual AI itself,
and it's kind of like I don't want to say it's based off of that movie. Okay,
you actually never see you never see an AI in that movie, and it never talks about AI, and it might seem like a reach, but from what I remember of that future and stuff like that, it actually does make sense. It doesn't really ask or address the AI question, but watch the movie with what I told you about how the AI is what's controlling everything. And if you watch it with that in mind, you'll be like, oh wow, that does make a lot of sense. That actually does make sense. So it's because an AI is what's ordering everybody around in the movie and like telling them all what to do and stuff, and like it's all based on like numbers and like statistics, and like it shows it pretty well.
Like, okay, I have a summary of the movie. How about I read a little summary for the audience because I never heard of this movie before, but this is a good summary. Okay, so in the 25th century is when this was based, a time when people have designations instead of names. A man, THX1138.
Which I remember my name was, I remember my name was a designation, and I want to point out that like Elon Musk and Grimes' son, that's like the kind of designate like names that they would give people. I have it written down somewhere. L18093 was my name. That was my name, L18093, literally.
Just like this, just like in this movie. Okay, this is like a dystopian future. Okay, and this is by putting these kind of movies out there, and it's a George Lucas movie. It's either predictive programming. I just feel like
I think like
they're trying to get us to go there collectively.
I think he saw it in his dream, or maybe he lived a life there, and his soul came back once he woke up from his coma. I don't know, but like, yeah, I do believe that he saw it. I think he saw it because it just looked like the people wearing the jumpsuits, the people on the surface wearing the robes. Like, there's so much stuff where it's like, yeah, it's exactly like the movie.
Oh my God! So your name is basically your license plate on your truck,
Yeah,
right?
basically, yeah.
Because
018093.
yeah, that was your name, and this man was THX1138, and a woman was LUH3417. They rebelled against the rigidly controlled society. Sometime in the future, conformity and homogeneity, okay, were the rule in a state-controlled society in which the populace follows the wants of the faceless statue without questions. This is achieved through mandatory drug regimen, which also suppresses human desire. Human relationships and sexual intercourse are banned. The law of the state is policed by a force of robocops. The physical environment is totally within a manufactured enclosure. What's outside of it is completely unknown, but THX1138 is a loyal subject who goes about his business as a skilled factory worker building robocops. And even when he begins to have strange feelings, he does what is obligated by going to the state-run confessional, which further brainwashes through its reinforced mantra of happiness, loyalty, and understanding. He is given a glimpse into the other side through his computer matched and thus anointed female roommate LUH3417 and her surveillance colleague SNN5241. LUH3417's vision, which THX1138 might want to continue despite its illegality. If he is able to keep his activities from the authorities and the robocops, he will have to figure out what options are available to him. And it goes on. Let's just say this is you become just a, I remember when I was in college, I thought it'd be cool to get like a barcode tattoo or something. I'm so glad I never got that.
Yeah.
So glad I never got that. Oh my God, think of the implications of that today. Because I am not just, I've broken out, we're breaking out the matrix over here, but that's a matrix concept, right? We're all just a number. And that's where, that's what this is. We're all just, just a number. And
so where my story lines up with a movie and why I think my story might have to do with him is, so obviously I got brought back to Montauk, right? And Preston was pissed. He's like, what is that? Yelling at me. And I'm like, dude, there's nothing I could have done with computers sniffing me out. And so they started sending us back there to try to mess with the computer and do stuff. And it was pretty entertaining. It was pretty interesting. Like, I remember I would go to the surface and walk around, and they just start following me in huge crowds. Like, it'd start with one person, then 2 or 3 people, and they'd just be like, you need to leave. You don't belong here. You need to leave. Like, I'd be trying to blend in, and they'd know right away. Like, go, leave. Next thing you know, you're being encircled by a huge crowd of people just yelling at you. Go, leave, go where you came from. Like,
oh my gosh.
Weird. One thing we would do is I would go down there and I would portal into those like subway systems that they had, where they would basically go to and from work and stuff like that. And they had shift changes, and I would spray paint things on the wall and stuff like that. And I was trying to wake them up, and it was so wild because, like I said, like they'd have a shift change, and I'd be graffitiing on the wall and just rumbling. You just hear the rumbling of all these people walking, and I'd be spray painting, and they wouldn't even. I remember a couple of them would kind of look at me and be like, "What?" But they just keep walking. Like, that would be the most reaction I would get out of it. But then one day, and I would write messages like, like, the AI is not God. Like, and like, just like human emotion is not the enemy, and just like messages like trying to free their minds. And that's where like the song says, and the words of the prophets were written on the subway walls and tenement halls and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
That's where that comes from, is that people would write anti-mind control messages against the system. And it was usually time soldiers or people copying the time soldiers. And one time I was doing it during a shift change of the maternity people who were in charge of, it was the scientists who were in charge of helping the birthing unit. There was like 8 or 9 of them, and they're all changing shits. And I was spray painting on the wall, and finally a woman from there looks back, looks forward, and then looks back again. Then she comes by me, and she's like, you can tell she's trying to talk to me. I don't have a neural link, though. So I look over her and say, sorry, I don't have a computer chip in my brain that's enslaving me, so I can't understand you. Do you know English? Your mouth. do you know how to use it, or did the computer take that from you too? And she was just like, I know how to talk. And she sounded
Oh
like
my
a deaf
gosh.
person. She sounded like a deaf person. Like she
Well, because
never.
people quit talking using their voice, they're using telepathy, and that's one thing that this new like Neuralink stuff that people are talking about, the little things that you put on the side of your head. I don't know if these commercials are real, but like people put these on and like their eyes turn white or something, and it's like replacing telepathy. And from what I heard, Elon Musk had like patented and copyrighted the word telepathy or something. I don't even know.
Oh
It's
no,
kind
yeah,
of
he patented the word telepathy, and
that's ridiculous.
what he's going to do. Kat actually predicted this. She had a premonition about it. What he's going to do is he's going to say that people can be augmented with AI to become psychic.
Okay, well, this is the beginning. Okay, it's the beginning of what they're having in 2025 here, and so yeah. Good night, Renee. I see you. Thank you. But yeah, but this is it. This is it. This is the beginning. He's patenting and copywriting the word telepathy of all things, and
Yeah,
so um, I don't know. I mean, I think that it's important that we do tap into our psychic skills and our psychic abilities as
but
a
not with a
society,
computer chip.
but not with a computer chip. There's a
And that's what it
difference.
is. Is everybody's
Anytime.
telepathic. Everybody knows they can Google everything, but that
Right.
information's controlled. It's
That's right.
controlled.
We're in the info war,
And
y'all.
but basically, I told her, I was like, she's like, I was like, that computer took everything that makes you human. You don't even understand because you've never been there. She's like, you're a liar. Before the computer, we had war, famine, and death. And if it wasn't for the computer, like human beings would be hopeless, basically. I'm like, well, at least you'd be you. At least you'd be human. You don't
Let you be human. That's
you
right.
don't understand.
Team
Like,
human.
and so I told her, I was like,
Yeah.
stop taking your medication and see what happens. You'll feel things. You'll learn things that you never thought you could learn. You'll know things that you never thought you could know. And she actually, I don't know how I got her to listen to me, but I got her to listen to me. And it's kind of a long story, but long story short, I actually ended up making love to this woman and impregnating her. This is literally what happened. I think that the story of 113 is kind of loosely based on it because that happens in that movie as well. Is an unwanted, undesignated by the computer pregnancy happens, and they don't know if it will let them keep their kid. And so basically, there's no really rules in the society other than respect all life, don't hurt anyone, never kill, basically, like a real basic rule. And so she, after I impregnate her, she gets called down to the computer, the overseer. And the computer says, hey, you're pregnant. And she's like, yeah, I got pregnant by the time traveler. And the computer's just like, yeah, he's trying to fuck up our shit big time. That's why I did that. You know, I'm gonna have to kill your baby. Like I'm gonna have to make your baby I'm gonna disappear your baby. And she's just like, yeah, and she's just like, no, you don't understand. Like, I already named it. It already has a name.
Oh my gosh.
And the computer's just like, and I don't know how I know this because I wasn't there, but I just do. I know this is what happened. I don't know how. I
Wow.
probably remote viewed it or something later. But I just remember she was like, there's one rule is you respect all life and you're gonna kill my baby. She was, you're broken. You're broken. You have a
Unauthorized
virus.
pregnancy.
You have a virus. Like you've been infiltrated. And the computer was like, no. And she's like, nah, not hearing it. And she basically went out into the world and was like, the computer has a virus. It told me it killed my baby. Because the thing is, since it had the power to just like send stuff around and stuff, it killed her baby right then and there.
Oh my god, that's horrible.
Yeah,
that's horrible. That's a terrible memory.
Just went out there and was
I hate that. I'm so sorry.
She went out and was just like, the AI unalive my baby. She just started yelling it at everybody, and it caused a civil war because there were people who were literally convinced. One side was convinced that the computer's right, and then there was another side that was like, no, that's the one rule. That's the thing we don't do, and the computer told us to do it. It has to be wrong. It has to be compromised.
Oh my god. Obey the computer. I mean, that's wild. That is so wild.
Civil war, isn't that crazy?
I mean, where did all the people end up going? You know, we talk about these human resets, right? I talk about the human resets a good bit with the mud floods, all the floods and everything, and just the erasure of history. And I know that you had mentioned on a previous show that the time soldiers basically had a lot to do with the erasure of history in a lot of ways too. And it's just wild. This is just wild. My question for you is is the overseer, I'm going to get into this data now, okay, because is the overseer to you, is this evil? Or is it, people are always asking me, is this evil or good? Like Barry will ask me that a lot of times with these targets I do. I'm like, well, it's not evil. I wouldn't call anything evil.
I don't think it is evil.
Good.
That's what's kind of weird
I call
about
it's just dark or light or negative or positive. You know what I mean?
I think it's more complicated than that. And I would say, like
Yeah.
I said, if this thing was just purely evil and purely just bad, then it wouldn't have gave me 2 weeks. It would have just sent me back to Montauk. It wanted me to be able to say goodbye to everybody. It had that empathy.
Yeah.
So it had some sort of care. And I think it genuinely did care about the humans and think that it was what was best for humanity. So I wouldn't call it evil, but I would say that we don't want this future. That's the reason why Stan Mulgrave wrote that song, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
It's like, sure, we didn't have any crime, but dude, like, not everything is the crime rate. Not everything is like, how safe you are. That's not, if that's your metric for how great society is, that's a kind of a crappy metric. Like, yeah, it's nice to live somewhere that's safe, obviously. Like, no shit, Sherlock, you know what I mean? But like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? But like, that's not everything. Being safe isn't everything. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's a very American thing. Because
I like to be safe.
If to us, being safe, if being safe was everything, if that's all we cared about, we'd have banned guns. You know what I mean? We wouldn't have guns.
Guns make you more safe.
Exactly,
but
yeah, but you know what I mean? That would have been a man. I could see that mentality.
It could be, see, that's the thing. Like, it's all relative. Everything's relative. And it's all about your perception and your experience. So, I'm
obviously
country girl over
that's
here.
literally my exact reaction is, what, a gun makes me more safe, because if somebody has a gun, then I have
if
one.
If they're trained in it. Yeah. Listen, I prefer to be in a room with somebody that has a firearm. I'm just saying, as long as they know how to use it. Now, if it's somebody that don't know how to use it, no, give it to me. I'll take care of everybody. You know what I mean? So anyways, it is what it is. So I don't know. I love the conversation though. And I'm thinking, let's get into this data. Oh my gosh. We got an hour and a half back, got into the data. It's so funny. But I mean, there's just, this is a deep subject. This is very deep.
And it's so relevant
it's like
right
our future depends on this, y'all.
Yeah.
Right, Arkheim?
Yeah.
Our future depends on this, because
it's
this could be our future.
All the things that decide our future for the next thousands of years are all happening right now.
It's all happening right now. The future,
this is an inflection point of history where the outcome could go drastically different ways.
And we're here to change the timeline.
When this inflection point is met, like I said, this is thousands of years of what it's going to look like for humanity.
Yes. And that is this is a great comment right here too, Suzette. Thank you. Says this government uses the excuse of making us safe to impose more rules to control.
Yeah, one of the founding fathers said that those who are willing to give their liberty for security deserve neither. I think it was maybe Thomas Jefferson said that as one of those guys.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yes, I'm like, the less laws, the better in my book, but I don't know. That's neither here nor there. Okay. All right. Well, let's get into this data, because this target is the overseer AI. Okay. And so let me get into the sensory data first. Let's do the sensory data, and then we're going to get into the analytic overlay, and we'll discuss it. I've got just 3 pages of data tonight. Okay. And we'll just go over all of it. And I think it's really interesting. Okay. So some of my sensory data for this target, I wrote curved, seizure. Okay. Tense, cold, lean, sliding, shocking, surprised, drawing, comprehensive, and compensated. Okay. I'm like, what does that have to do with AI? Okay. But here's my analytic overlay. This is like me making sense of what I'm sensing. Okay. I wrote curvature, settle and settlement, armada, army or militant. Like I was picking up on some kind of military, something to do with the military, 0 or 0 point gravity, sliders, which aren't sliders time travelers, if I'm not mistaken. So sliders, quantum mechanics, abilit, operational orders, commander. I wrote down commander. That's interesting because his name's the overseer, right? So commander. I wrote down top brass in the heads of state.
That is what they would be, where the computer is like that. Yeah.
Interesting. So the higher ups, the top brass, the heads of state, the commander. I wrote down I wrote commander down. I also was like picking up on like boxing data, like bobbing and weaving and ducking and diving and all that kind of stuff. I don't know where that came from, but and then I wrote down payback. I don't know what payback has to do with this, but I also drew like a grid. So that was what my stage 3 drawing was, like a grid kind of. So does that make sense so far? That first page of data, Arkheim? At least
it's a little strange. I'll be honest with you. Some of it's a little weird, but some of it also lines up. And like commander, overseer, top brass. This is the top of the military for sure on Earth and the government. So
it is military based. Then is it military based, or what do you think about that?
Yeah,
or is it more like
it all
ET
has to do with
kind of
national
stuff?
security and like I said, they're the AI wars, right?
Okay.
So it has to do with war, military. Absolutely, I would say that that's 100% relevant.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get on to the stage 4 data. Okay, so this is just more sensory data and analytic overlay, basically. And so I was picking up some of my sensory data was like winding, hard, uneasy, not easy. I was seeing like a compass or controls, and I wrote down the road less traveled, a winding path, mechanical, digital, and a motherboard. Okay, so motherboard. I started hearing somebody whispering something, and I heard them say, "It's gonna come out." Okay, it's gonna come out. But then I heard like relax. It takes time. Patience, young grasshopper. That's what I heard. Patience, young grasshopper. And then I wrote down digital currency. So I was definitely picking up on like some kind of AI. I was definitely picking up on some kind of AI for sure, because I was picking up on digital currency, something about mechanical, digital, even quantum.
And I think a lot of this future depends on whether or not the US dollar collapses. If that happens, that actually it doesn't mean, if that happens, it doesn't mean that this future is inevitable, but it opens us up to it much more, and that's dangerous. We do not want the US dollar to collapse, because if the US dollar collapses, the answer to it is the digital dollar.
Oh my gosh. Well, I wrote down digital currency, literally. And I wrote down sticky and sticky situation. Okay, so this is going to be digital currency, a sticky situation. Okay, and that was my second page of data right there. Okay, and
I would say that this is kind of like a sticky situation. We're at this junction point. It's like how things play out right now decide the future. So I would say this is like the definition of a sticky situation, I would say. So I would say that lines up.
It definitely is a sticky situation for sure. And let's see.
Did you see that orb? Did you just see that?
No, I was looking at the
that just flew behind me.
No, I used to always have orbs that flew around me when I was doing my shows. I hadn't had one in a while.
I wonder who it is.
I love it. We'll have to go back. What is the timestamp?
Spirit guides or something.
1:38. Yeah, 1 hour and 38, 1 hour and 37. Y'all go back and check on that orb behind our cam. That's really cool. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
I feel whoever it is. I can feel them in the room now.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, let's see. It's it might be the overseer coming to hang out with you. I'm just kidding.
It could be. It could be. It's because it could be its remote viewing energy came in here. In fact, I think that is what it is. Now that you say that,
I have watched myself remote viewing myself before, and I was a bunch of twinkly lights in the corner of my room. Actually, it was like little like fairy lights.
That's what it was.
Like, yeah,
that's what it looked like.
Yeah, there's somebody remote viewing you right now. Okay, well, I was definitely picking up on my third page of data. I picked up on a non-human intelligence. Okay, that was the main thing on this page, was non-human intelligence and robotics. I wrote, totally. I wrote down trading and a trade line, like a trading non-human. And I wrote what looks like kind of like a portal or something that was like going in. I don't know. I drew this weird picture right here.
Okay.
Something that was like, I don't know, going down, maybe it was going down a rabbit hole. I don't know. But I wrote down, I kept hearing motherboard, but I wrote mother load, but I kept getting like that motherboard data over and over again. Let me throw a treat to my dog over there, y'all. Okay. So non-human intelligence, mother load, dive in. Like I heard dive in. I kept seeing this like hole that like opened. It was like a portal or something. And I heard dive in. to this, and I wrote down hidden beneath, and I wrote down earth tones and frequencies and stuff. So I was picking up on like tones, sounds, frequencies, and I heard that it's moving. Like it's something that's like in constant motion is what I was picking up on. Whatever I was remote viewing is in constant motion. It's moving, and it's hit or miss was the last thing I wrote down. Hit or miss. Okay. And I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. I think the data was hit or miss on this, but I did definitely pick up on some kind of non-human intelligence and something that was
the computer is pretty powerful, so it could have used techniques to try to veil some things from you potentially, or mislead you maybe. I don't know, but a lot of it, I think that's some of it is pretty spot on to the point where I won't say it's a coincidence. Like, I'll say that you're at least partially on target.
At least partially there. Yeah, I mean, there's some good data there. Well, here's the thing about like these kind of remote viewing targets is like we don't know everything about the target. You know what I mean? And there's probably it's multifaceted in so many ways. I mean, this is a big topic, the overseer AI. You know, and they did kind of allude to this in that movie, and that's what this is in that movie. THX 3811 or 1138. Yeah. Let me pull that up again. And so that's, if you guys want to dive more into that, definitely check that movie out. I was finding you can watch it for free online. I think it's on like Tubi or something. It's on some different sites. So I think it's definitely worth a watch. You said there's not a lot of talking in it, Arkheim? Didn't you say
there
that?
is.
Oh, there is.
There is, okay. Which differentiate, like, that's not what it was like in real life, which was what I was explaining. So it's a movie. They didn't talk in this reality. They talk all the time in this.
Oh, that's what you meant. Okay, I was confused. So what you're saying is like in real life, everybody did telepathy, but in the movie, they talk. Well, they talk here.
Artificial Neuralink telepathy. So yeah, artificial telepathy.
That is so cool. That is so wild. That's really wild. Well, you know, they say I mean, I've been told, you know, the future, we're going to be way more telepathic. We're going to be tapping into that more. And, but then there's always something that turns something natural upside down. It corrupts it. And that the whole thing with the Neuralink is what I would consider to be
I would say that like, putting a copyright on telepathy has got to be the most sleazy capitalistic thing I've ever heard in my life. Like,
I have to agree on that. I do agree with that, actually. It's just odd because that is a natural human gift. It's a God-given ability, and we all have it, and that is how humans originally communicated. Okay, yes. And it has been definitely kind of pushed down. We have something called we got our cell phones now. Me and my camo cell phone case over here. We have cell phones now and stuff. We don't need telepathy anymore. You know, we need it, but we just don't use it. We've definitely, I mean, and even you got to think about it, Arkheim. I mean, I was embarrassed to ever even admit that I was psychic because it has such a stigma in society.
Well, yeah,
it still does.
That's what I was kind of talking about it earlier. Like, there's a shame associated with it for a lot of reasons. It's not only just because, like I said, if you're someone like me where you're using the programs and use those abilities, like when you didn't really want to, but also just there's a stigma around it big time.
Call me now. I'm Madam Cleo or whatever, you know. That was the thing. Like you said, you're psychic. You're like Miss Cleo. And I've been definitely called Miss Cleo by people that I know I used to hang out with and stuff. You know, just trying to kind of make fun of you. But so it's not cool to use real telepathy. But if you get the Neuralink, if you get those little chips, then you're cool.
No, that's what makes you.
Is that how it works?
It's the other way around.
Exactly. Well, to us, we know. Yeah, it's more cool to tap into your inner psychic abilities and stuff, and use what God gave you. Okay.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm a huge proponent of that. I am team human all the way. I will not be getting a chip in my brain. I mean, who's to say that we're not all chipped right now? I mean, I don't know. You said that in the future in this movie, everybody has the Neuralink. And
yes.
And we don't know what we're even ingesting with like the foods and stuff that we're buying. They're putting all sorts of chemicals in the food, the meats that we're eating now. Some of the meats aren't even real.
In the United States.
Yeah.
Just here, not everywhere.
Yeah. Man, well, that needs to change. That needs to change. And for the people who are not changing it, listen, I used to walk in the halls
Well,
of the state
I
capitol.
mean,
I know these
I'm
laws can
not.
be changed.
This stuff is happening. I mean, that's one of the things that RFK is talking about, and it's one of the things that I really agree on. I don't agree on everything that's going on right now, but that I think could potentially lead to really good things. I mean, he's trying to. They already are dying these petroleum-based food dyes that are in our foods, which are neurotoxins, and they're bad. So we're making some headway on that. It seems like, so that's good. Some
Yeah.
good news.
Yeah, for sure. David, hey, if anybody knows somebody that can read auras, y'all holler at David Pardue, please. Hey, David, thank you for being here tonight. Yeah, they have cameras that will read your aura. I've had my photography done. I've had two of those pictures made where they actually show your aura and the pictures of it and stuff. I
That's
had some
cool.
interesting ones. David has an interesting one. He's got like half of his is like got a color to it and the other half doesn't. It's like white and then another is weird. I've never seen one like that. So David, you are special. Okay. But yeah, it's I think the whole point of tonight, there's a lot of points of tonight. This has been a fantastic target, Arkheim. Thank you so much for giving me this. But it is to shine light on this. I mean, they put these things in movies for us to see. It's almost like what do they call that, karmic retribution or something. It's like they put these things out there. It's like, well, this is what we're planning on our future to be. This is you guys just put it in the collective consciousness because this is where we're going, and you guys are going to create it because you saw our movie. You know,
Right.
but that's not what we want. Okay, that's not what I want, and I'm not going along with the flow. You know what I mean? Arkeem, you and I, we don't have to agree to that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I don't see my future. My future doesn't look anything like that personally.
Yeah, I
Right?
do not see, like, I'm really wary, like I try to remind people of this and be clear about this. I talk about all these crazy alternate futures that are pretty hellish and stuff like that a lot of times, but I do not believe it's where we're headed at all.
Mm-hmm.
I would feel really stressed out and really anxious if I can sense that kind of stuff ahead of time. You know what I mean? And I can sense that we're gonna have some what's it called when you're in a plane, turbulence. We're gonna have some turbulence
All
for a while.
turbulence.
Things are not gonna just be like, it's gonna be whoa. But
Yeah.
we're not. I don't think we're entering a really bad timeline. Maybe we'll have some bad moments. We might have some tragic events here and there, and some trials and tribulations. But I don't think. I think from the grand scheme of things, like humans are pretty aware of AI and stuff. Like, it's in our popular culture, and perhaps the Montauk people or some sort of good time corporation is behind that. Perhaps that's part of the reason why we see this stuff everywhere, as it was intentionally put in our culture so that we can understand these things, so that when it does come around, we're not like cavemen seeing fire for the first time, and we actually kind of understand what we're looking at. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's there's a reason that we're talking about this tonight, and there's no coincidences out there. And for whatever reason, it is time for us to talk about this. And you and I, we're seeming to work pretty well together now, Arkeem. We always have,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems like we're putting things out there, and it's actually enabling the audience, everyone who's listening and who's watching tonight, to go do their own research on this as well, and to kind of let's kind of shift this timeline. Okay, if
Yeah, there's a
that's
lot
kind of
of
where they're putting
public
it.
information on this that is very, like, grounded in reality and not SSP secret space program people or anything. There's plenty of people who are talking about this that are a lot more respected and mainstream than me, who are saying the exact same stuff as me. They're just saying it with all the artillery of, like, I've actually seen this already happen. They're just using their conjecture and their predictive ability. And some of these guys that are talking about this stuff are like geniuses, like really smart people. So
Yeah.
we should listen to them. And like I said, a lot of these situations where I come on your show, it's kind of like, oh, you just have to trust the data and trust me, please, and then believe it. You know what I mean? This is not one of those shows. You can look into this stuff and you can see that like where this is all going, like the social engineering that's happening, and these tech guys, these tech bros, like these are the guys that everybody should be paying attention right now, because they are the most dangerous people to humanity right now. I'm talking about Mark Zuckerberg, Peter Thiel, Bezos, Musk. Everybody just looks at just Musk and Bezos or whatever, but it knows all these guys. You know what I mean? People forget about Peter Thiel. He's dangerous as well. A lot of these people believe that AI is the future and that it's going to happen no matter what, and they want to be the ones to build it so they can be the ones who reap the benefits, who reap the rewards. Like Elon Musk literally did interviews just like 3-4 years ago saying he was saying we need to put the brakes on this AI stuff. We need to slow down. And now he's shifted his mentality where he thinks it's inevitable and he should just ride the gravy train because somebody's going to have to ride the gravy train. It might as well be him.
Yeah, well, it's all about information control and just control and making money and stuff like that.
It is, and what people need to realize is that our humanity is more important than money. Like the guy that owns Palantir, like that guy knows how evil he is. He knows how evil he is. That guy's just, there's no other way to say it. That guy's just a fucker. I can tell by looking at it. He knows exactly what he's doing. But at the end of the day, he knows that he's probably maybe the safest man in the world because he has the entire United States military for, like, being like, we got your back, guy. Because, like, his technology is so important to them.
Oh, my gosh.
Must feel like, seriously, he must feel like a super, like, he must feel so powerful, that guy, that behind that company. He's like, he could probably get caught, like, doing some crazy stuff, like illegal stuff, and they'd probably just, like, hide it for him because of what he does for them. Like, that guy probably has more power, like, people don't realize. Like, yeah, the people behind these tech companies have an absurd amount of power.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're seeing things today over the past couple of years, few years now, where
they want technology. They are open about this. This is another thing I'm saying where people can look into it and research on themselves. They're open about how they think technology needs to be the government of the future. They've been open about the fact, like, there's literal video of Peter Thiel from years ago, like I think over 10 years ago, saying we can't control the government the way we are now. We have to use our technology to weasel our way in, and then we can control the government. Like, and that's what they're doing right now. And we don't have to let them do that. There's no law or rule anywhere that says that they should be allowed to do this. It's all up to the public response and the response of our Congress people and stuff like that.
Ultimately, we have the power to change whatever we want, and we don't have to go with the everybody, with the masses, whatever we are, we can stand up to it, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's
and what happens when the power goes out? That's my question.
I'm not here to say buckle up. It's inevitable. Enjoy it while you can. Right? That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to say, hey, be wary, people. We're deciding the future right now, and this is what it could look like. So let's decide well. Let's decide responsibly. That's all it is.
Yeah. Yes. I just want to live my life. I want to be left alone. I want to go have live off grid with solar power somewhere.
We don't need a technocratic future where we got AI pyramids controlling us. We need to get back to Earth, right? We need to get back to, like, respecting the land, being more involved with our food. Like, I remember from the Breakaways how food is treated, and in the Breakaways, there's certain planets where they understand how energy transfer works and stuff like that. And they think there are places where to have a whole meal where you don't know where any of it comes from. You don't know the farm where the strawberries come from. You don't know the farm where the chicken came from. All this stuff just came from a grocery store. You don't know the people who packaged it. You don't know the energy. That's, on certain cultures and certain planets, that's insanity. That's insane to them. Like, there are certain planets where in order to be a chef, or certain civilizations, I should say, where in order to be a chef, you have to get an energy reading, and to prove that you're not putting bad energy into the food.
Oh my gosh!
Yes, and people need to know where their food comes from. And
no,
they don't want chicken or pork that comes from all the way from another continent across the world.
Yeah,
they would refuse to buy it if they had that on some planets because they understand all the energy that's put into and like how bad that is. Like, it is best to eat local, to know where your food's coming from. I know that sounds like all hippy dippy crap, but it's true. It's really true. Like, and that's where we went wrong. It's like we should respect our relationship with food more and think about it more. The fact fast food culture has killed things a lot because, like, we're supposed to eat together. Like, think about it. If you're eating a dinner all by yourself, how hard is it to prepare something with like fresh vegetables and fresh meat and fresh ingredients and stuff like that, as compared to if you're cooking for a whole group of people? It's so much easier if you're eating communally with people to chop up a whole pepper, use a whole chicken, use these wholesome ingredients. So that's another thing, and it's actually good. Like if you, I recommend people just like if you have friends and stuff. It's really sounds silly, but like yeah, it's good. It's good to think about the energy that you're putting in your food. And like, there's a reason why. Like, have you ever went to your mom's or your grandma's or something like that, and she gives you a piece of cake, and it's like the best piece of cake you've ever had in your life?
Because it's made with love.
Because it's made that's real. That's a very, very,
love.
very real thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
It is. It is energy. And I was watching something the other day. This lady was like, God, I worked in this fast food place. And she was like, if you just knew how mean and spiteful these people are, and they hate their jobs, they're back there making this food, and then you're consuming
Nasty
it.
energy.
And that's just that horrible energy that you're putting in your body. So it is good just to be aware of that. It is good to be aware of it. Try to eat it.
That's another thing too, is like, because on these planets where you have to walk through like this machine that reads your aura, and there's different tiers. Like there's green, red, and blue or something like that. I forget, but the really nice restaurants that are the most expensive, they literally have those machines built into the door of the kitchen. So when the chefs go in there, they get scanned. And but like, yeah, there's different tiers of it. And
man. So they gotta be high vibe all the time. High vibe tribe.
That makes it a very
restaurant.
It makes chefs, they're very spiritual. They're kind of like almost like monks. Like chefs on some planets, it's like that.
So they don't have
it's
robots.
It's a very highly respected profession. It's not but
it has to be humans though, right? So there's no robots making the food.
ETs. Robots will. I'm sure it happens.
They don't pass the high vibe test.
There's ETs that can make delicious food, that they're great chefs. So it's not always just humans. In fact, there's like I said, there's a Olarian fusion food where their food was a little much because their palate was so different. But like on Olaria Centurion 5, they actually made like food that they thought humans would like, and it became this whole kind of food. And like, yeah, aliens can actually make pretty good food if they try. We usually do have different palates than aliens, but we meet in the middle at certain places and with certain stuff, and it's definitely interesting. Eating alien food is a real thing, and it is a whole world, and it is a very interesting thing. Like trying like weird fruits from other planets and just weird dishes that they have that only exists there or whatever. There's a planet, another planet. I'm going on and on here, but there's
I want to hear about it. This is fantastic.
There's another planet I remember they had some fruit where humans get high off of it. It's like kind of like Molly, kind of like a stimulant, kind of like an ecstasy almost, and it changed everything for them when humans came there and figured out that this plant gets them high. It's the whole center of their society now is this damn plant that humans love.
Oh my gosh!
And they make tons of money off of it, and like, and yeah, it's wild. Like that's what's being taken from us, man. Like with the lies that we're being told. It actually is a beautiful thing to share cultures with alien worlds and stuff like that. It can be a really wonderful thing. We really can learn a lot from each other. And hopefully we can get there to that Star Trek future that everybody talks about. Like I said, I don't think it's coming like tomorrow like some people think, but I think it is coming, and we just have to keep fighting for it.
Oh yeah, we do. Well, I'm all for it. I'm here for it. I want to go try some alien food. Okay, I don't want to eat aliens. Barry and I were talking about that. Credo Mudwa, is that his name? He said he ate an alien. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about eating alien food. Okay, y'all. Yeah. This is different. I want to try everything. I like trying everything. I'm adventurous like that. Skip, thank you for that. Thank you. Said just looking good tonight. Oh, Skip, thank you so much. That's so sweet. Thank you for that super sticker. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, it was a fascinating show. I feel like I got to talk about a lot of stuff. And honestly, yeah, just like I said, people just look into it on your own. You're all extremely intelligent people. You can find more information on this. And I'm not the only person talking about this. So, yeah, let's just be mindful and try to create a good future where we use AI as a tool to make humanity better while respecting it. And, we have laws around it that keep us safe. And let's just be careful moving forward. This is a very, very tumultuous time where the decisions that we make are very important. So Just everybody keep that in mind, I guess.
Oh yeah, and everyone is going to be required to wear a mood ring from here on. That makes my food. I'm just kidding. Somebody in the chat said mood rings. They're talking about mood rings. I actually have 2 mood rings right now in this room. Okay, my son and I both got mood rings in Marietta one day when we were at the historical museum or something, and I love my mood ring. And that is good. But let's just all be mindful of people that do touch our foods. And yes,
Yeah, it's something to think about.
Even praying over your food.
It's probably not good to eat fast food, and if you eat at a restaurant,
yeah,
just try to eat at one where the guy's probably at least getting paid well, so he's happy, and they're using good ingredients. I don't know. We have a little control over it. It's hard though on Earth. It is, because like our culture is all the food just comes from random places. So if you start thinking about that, it's a lot, because your almonds are coming from Brazil, and you know what I mean? Your strawberries are coming from Mexico, and stuff's coming from all over the place. And it just doesn't make any sense when you think about it. With certain things, like I can't grow coconuts here in the Pacific Northwest, right? So that makes sense, certain stuff. But some stuff, it doesn't make sense. It's like, why do we have to ship certain things? I don't know.
I know, just like the elites eating the mermaids. Okay, Sean Bond came on the show, and he and I talked about, there was this thing, Arkheim, I don't know if you heard about this, but there were rumors going around that the elites were eating mermaids.
I heard about that.
What do you think about that?
It won't surprise me at all. They believe in cannibalism as a form of power, that you get the power of the person you eat from them by eating them and stuff like that. And the mermaids are probably powerful, and I do think they're real. I've seen some footage that, I mean, it could be AI, but another, I've brought it up a few times. Audrey Walters, she I believe in her intel, and I think she's really important. Like I wish she was more well known in the circle of people that we're in, but it's okay. She'll get there. But she's talked to me a lot about how, like, there are mermaid, like, okay, like actually how the conversation started is some crazy stuff. Maybe this is a target I give you someday. There's a statue on the street, right? And it looks like an ET or something like that. And I showed it to Audrey. I'm like, what do you think of this? She's like, that's a mermaid. That's probably a statue honoring one of the mermaid people, because you live in a port city. You know what I mean? I was like, wow. And and what's even crazier is this video that I saw that maybe could be AI, maybe not. It looked kind of like that thing. It looked kind of like that. And like,
did it have legs, or is it just a bust?
No, it didn't. Yeah, it's just a bust. It's just the top of it. But the videos that I've seen, like, well, it's just one video, and it's so hard these days. It could be AI, but like, I think it's real. If somebody had to ask me, I think it's real. I also have seen like this footage of like these monkey beings that came out of a cave somewhere in Southeast Asia. I don't know if you've ever seen that. And it's a real video. And not only that, they put out a video like a month later, and it's a different video, and it's guys in suits that kind of look like the monkeys. And
they always do that, Arkheim. There's always like, there's something that will come out, and then they have to negate it by putting something fake out. That's just like that mermaid documentary that the Animal Planet put out. I think there were some elements of, potentially there was at least one clip in there that might have been a real mermaid, but the rest of it was all fake. And so they're just sprinkling. That's what Brian and I talked about. We were talking about last week, we were talking about those women that went up into space, Katy Perry and her spaceship, her phallic shaped spaceship or whatever. That was just all, it just seemed so fake. All of it did. But they put a little bit, there's sometimes like they'll put out some fake stuff, but then they'll throw in a little bit of something that's real. When they're putting
and they're trying to confuse people. They're just trying to confuse people.
Like, it's information war, and that's why we had all the wonderful fact checkers. How did we ever live without the fact checkers for so long?
I don't know how we live without them.
I mean, for people to tell us what's right and what's wrong and what's real and what's not, man, I'm glad that they got government.
It's a crazy time to be alive, because we've never had more information at our fingertips, but people have never seemed more confused, it seems like, right? Like, crazy.
It's information overload, I think.
That's what it is. And there's a lot of the war that's being fought is information wars. I mean, Alex Jones was not wrong when he said that. Like, it's an information war. It really actually is an information war. Like, war isn't all just bombs and guns and battlefields. It's way more complicated than that. Information warfare is a huge part of war.
Yeah.
But, well, we'll do another show in the near future. I'm sure we'll wrap things up here.
Oh yeah, we've got plenty more to talk about for sure, and we could go for years on all these topics we've got, just from your experiences alone, Arkheim.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate you so much. I mean,
Appreciate you, friend.
It's pretty awesome that you are able to talk so candidly about your experiences, and that we're able to dig into those through the remote viewing data as well. And so now I've learned a whole lot tonight. I know there are people in the chat, they're saying they've learned a lot tonight as
Good.
well. And so thank you. The Overseer AI, something else for us to dig into.
He might have shown up during. I'm gonna go back and watch that like right away.
The Overseer orb that you
Yeah.
had floating through your place. That was wild.
Yeah, that was wild. Yeah, go back and watch that if you want, people. All right, have a good one, everyone. Bye.
Yeah, well, wait, don't go. Hold on, Arkheim. You always leave too early. Tell everybody about your book and your YouTube channel.
Okay.
Please.
I got a
Don't
YouTube
go.
channel. It's called Disclosure Now with an exclamation point. And I've slowed down a lot, but I'm learning how to use some streaming software that will make it easier for me to keep up with things and be more with the times, and react to current events and stuff, and talk about current events and stuff. And I am going to have some guests in the future here. I'm going to have Audrey Walters, I'm going to have Drago Reed, and I'm going to have Penny Bradley. So I have 3 shows in the future scheduled up, so pay attention to that. I have slowed down a lot because, like I said, I'm focusing on my mental health and my life. But this is still what I do. This is still a big part of who I am and what I do. So I'm still out here, and the channel has slowed down, but I'm going to get back on the swing of things again soon, and I'll probably be putting out more content than ever in the near future. So keep an eye for that.
And don't forget your book. This is
and yeah, of course, Arkheim Ra, Time and Space Unlimited, and I also am working on a new book now. So I'm going to be coming out with a new book probably within a year or something. I don't know when, but I'm working on a new book now.
Wonderful.
And it's all about AI. It's going to be called The Sound of Silence.
The Sound of Silence.
Really
Simon and Garfunkel, y'all. Go check out that song. And you said that the person who wrote that was an actual Montauk.
Yeah, his name was Stan Mulgrave, and he fell out of, I think, like an airplane or something like that, and fell into, like, we were never able to recover his body. And so he actually did die a natural death during Project Phoenix 2, which did happen occasionally. And so he's no longer with us, but he was the one who wrote that song.
Oh my gosh. Well, R.I.P. And that is a great song. I like Simon and Garfunkel. I don't know. Maybe I was born in the wrong decades or something. I don't know. I like that music. Actually, that was probably the decade I was born, actually. But anyways, thank you so much, Arkheim. It's been amazing. And I can't wait to hang out with you again in the future. So go back.
I've got so many different targets. Like I got like a list somewhere. So
awesome.
We'll do another show again soon.
Okay, I think that order was at 1 hour and 38 minutes or 37 or something like that. So go back and look. Okay.
All right, much love.
Thank you,
Take care,
Arkheim.
everybody. Thanks to your audience too. Your audience is awesome.
Thank you, Arkheim. Okay, we'll see you next time. All right, bye, y'all. All right, everybody, please come back and see me. Arkheim is always so quick to get out of here, y'all. I love it. It's so sweet. But yeah, you guys, please have a wonderful night tonight, and come back and see me this weekend on Saturday night at 10 p.m. on The Hunt. We will be back here then at 10 p.m. I don't know who the guest is yet, but it's going to be a good show, I promise. And thank you guys so much for the super stickers. Brian saying thank you. That is so generous of you to give those big old super stickers tonight. I do appreciate it. And please, everybody, and Skip as well. Skip, thank you for that super sticker as well. And you guys, if you are going to be in the Florida area in July, please come see us at the Full Disclosure Now conference. That is Brian Sang's conference down there. And there's a lot of wonderful whistleblowers, people with a lot of different backgrounds, from the secret space program to cryptids like myself, to, the spiritual community, you name it, they'll be there. Ancient aliens, artifacts, all that kind of stuff. It's all going to be there. And I know we got a couple people in the chat tonight, including Maureen, that'll be there. So you guys have a great night. And if you'd like to see the full data for this target tonight that Arkheim gave me, become a member of my Patreon. And I do appreciate that so much. To all my members, thank you guys. And thank you so much for all of my Hunt Club members as well. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed it tonight. I know I did. And y'all stay safe out there. Please don't live in fear. And let's change this timeline. Let's move it up. We're not going towards this dystopian nightmare. I'm not. That's not in my future. And so y'all come with me. Okay. I'll see y'all in the good future. All right, y'all have a great night and be safe. Okay. I'll see y'all on Saturday.